this is weird for me because now this is where I get emotional because this could genuinely be our last time playing together. But we are starting a whole new YouTube channel. I want to end it. Everything.
Photographer of the Year. Let's hear it for Dan Shelley, Shellda Photos.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Shellda Podcast, where today I'm joined by Stephen Hatch. Everyone knows him as Hatch, of course, of Sacramento DMG, and now the new host, solo host of From The Sidelines podcast. How are you, man?
You know, I'm all right. You know, I can't say I'm the solo host because luckily I still have my boy, Brando Baird. I'm blessed the fact that he's in my life and the fact that he's sticking with me through it. I'm grateful. So thank you again for having me on, Dan. Seriously, it means a lot.
Sure. But you are in the driver's seat. You're the guy that's controlling all the things and all the behind the scenes person. So you're the go-to person now.
Absolutely. Attempting to. That is the key right there, is attempting to. It is a ton to learn. It is whenever I look at all this, I look at a huge mountain, but now I realize it's not impossible to climb.
Yeah.
It's doable. And
I'm gonna do it. It for sure is, and we'll dive into that a little bit more. But we'll save that. We'll dive into that before we dive into the juice of the podcast. And we've got a ton of great questions lined up. I want to give a huge shout out to some show sponsors that you know how important sponsors are. You know, playing DMG and whatnot. I've had Hormesis on since day one, and you know, NXL, the Lone Star event was a few weeks ago, and trying to get everything folded up here. I finally got my hands on my new Shellda Photos headband that's coming out. I just got word from Alex that these should be dropping within a few weeks. They might even be dropping the same day that my book drops, which would be like kind of a crazy coincidence if that happens. So man, just working with Hormesis has just been a dream come true with those guys. And then I've been working really closely over the past few months with ZP and Travis and Cali over at ProDNA. And man, you want to talk about some hard workers. Like, those guys are just true grit. Everything they're doing with ProDNA. I had the gear, the new XL gear bag with me. And I've got so many compliments on it. So they're crushing it over there. And then last but not least, BFP gear. You know, Junior and Gina for me have just been family since day one. They brought me in and just treated me like family. I was out in California a few years ago for a work trip, and they drove 2 hours from Sacramento, like, just to have dinner. So it just goes to show the level of care that they have for people. And I know you work closely with BFP gear and with Junior as well.
Absolutely. On DMG, they are one of our biggest sponsors, and they really, like, without them, I don't even know how we would even be able to compete in the NXL, because they really do help us out a lot. And, you know, they really have shaped the career and the pathing of DMG on what they're capable of doing. So I really am appreciative of Junior and all them.
Yeah, just what a great partnership that they do. And they just try to, like, every time I hear something, they're always giving back to, like, either the community or someone who's coming into their retail stores. Of, like, I've heard so many stories of them either giving away guns or giving away paint to people who, you know, maybe can't afford it. So they're just doing anything they possibly can to continue the sport growing. So yeah, nothing but love for BFP gear.
Absolutely.
Well, let's jump into it, man. Let's jump into first the hot news. You know, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. The whole transition for you now stepping into the hot seat with Brando. From the sidelines, where, like, break this down. Where, why, how, what's going on there?
Right. So, I mean, From the Sidelines originally started as, you know, just some boys with a Z at the end hanging out, you know, kind of like shooting around, you know, just kind of talking about conspiracies, paintball, games, whatever we really wanted. But then it evolved into this thing that we would have relatively big guests on there. We've had Maddie Marshall, we've had 40 Media, we've had you on there back in the day. And, you know, it's been nothing but a pleasure to do so. And it feels good that I can cement something into paintball, at least with my name attached to it. Does that make sense?
100%. You know, that's one of the reasons why, like, when I got back into this whole thing a few years ago, the game has given me so much my whole entire life. And I just wanted to do something to give back to it. And like, that's been my whole mission behind the photos. That was my mission behind, the children's book with Dynasty, and now everything with the podcast. It's like, how can I just continue to give back? And then that turned into like, well, what do I want my legacy to be with the sport? Like, how do I want to be remembered, 30, 40 years from now? So it sounds like you're kind of in that same state now. Is that right?
Absolutely right. And I like to use the word cementing into it, because when something is set in stone, that's forever. I mean, obviously you can erode away, but when you take good care of it, and something is loved so much where it's taken care of, it'll be there forever. Like, I mean, I brought this up multiple times before, but when we had Jerry Caro on the podcast, that was special to me. Yeah. He's a NorCal guy, and I would see him all the time, like over at Capitol Edge, and he would coach the local war guys, and I would conversate with him all the time. I would see him at events. I'd give him hugs. So it's like, when that news dropped, and it was just different. I remember kind of seeing a little bit of a spike in views on that one, and I don't even pay attention to views at all. Sure. But I remember seeing a couple and hearing some feedback about how people would go back and visit that episode. And that was one of those things that I'm like, this is what I do it for.
Yeah, totally. You're spot on, right? Like, there's, when Jerry passed, gosh, what was it? Was it Tampa? I forget what event was the next event that happened. It was kind of a similar thing. I know, I think I may have had a conversation or two with him, never anything more than passing, but I took a few photos of, some of his teammates, like wearing his jersey. And I think somebody had one on his back and like pointed up in the air, and I posted it. And I've known this throughout the years of like, when you take photos, at some point, somebody is going to pass away. And like, that single photo is going to mean so much to somebody.
Yes.
And like, members of his family reached out, and they're like so thankful about it. And so tying it back to you, to have Jerry on your podcast and to like have that whole interaction cemented forever, that's something that his family can go back and watch forever now.
Absolutely. There is going to be a time where if it is not cemented, you're going to forget what they sound like. You're going to forget what their laugh sounds like. You're going to forget what their cries sound like. You're going to forget everything about them. But when you cement something like that, it is forever. I mean, unless the internet explodes, we're probably going to have it for forever, I would say. And that's just one thing that I'm incredibly proud of, because we're all not going to be here forever. And I know this is this kind of like a little tangent when it comes to, I think Point of Proof Memes posted it, where one day you're going to look back at the box and you're going to know, and you're not going to know anybody on there. And that is one thing that, the fact that I know it's coming, right? Cue the Office quote where you wish you knew the golden days were while they were still golden. Yeah. And that's one of those things where I cherish this. Absolutely.
I'll even take that a step further. There's going to be a day that comes where you drive by the field and you're not even going into the field anymore, because paintball's, maybe the field's not there, or maybe all your friends have retired or moved on. And so like every Sunday or Saturday, whatever day you play, it's tried to not take it for granted, because we truly never know when the last time we'll step on that field is.
Absolutely. And one of our old hosts that we used to have on FTS, he was a pro for DMG. And when they got relegated, he had a moment where he was just sitting on the field where he's like, man, this is the last time I'm going to be setting foot. Because he wasn't about the going back down, getting relegated, grinding back up. He was like, when it happens, it happens. And when I'm done, I'm done. Yeah. And, hearing that story just really hit a nail on the head in my mind, where I don't know when that's going to come. Yeah. Right. I try to do it with with my best friend on the team, Caden. After every event, I always tell him, like, dude, look out at this. You never know when it's your last one. Yeah. Right. And it's like, I have to convey the emotion behind it, where I'm like, dude, I love you, bro. This could genuinely be our last time playing together. Life is crazy the way it works. You never know. So I always want to make sure that is conveyed with my teammates, that, in case that something does happen to where that is my last time playing with them, they know how much I care.
Yeah, I appreciate you going pretty deep into this. And I want to tie it back to the podcast, right? Because like you initially said that you had, it was like kind of like a boys podcast where like you would talk about video games. And for anyone that's watched, From the Sidelines, you can tell it's kind of like, a bunch of dudes hanging out, right? And like it'll go on tangents and whatnot. But to hear you like go a lot deeper here, probably than what I've ever heard you go before, is that the direction where you want to now take From the Sidelines? Like, what's your plan with the new vision of it?
I want to, that I got to work on with being a host is I got to learn how to read the room better, right? And I think that with what you're saying about taking it in that direction where it's a little bit more vulnerability, a little bit more emotion, absolutely, that's where I want to take it. But it's also, sometimes, we make jokes about my dead dad on the podcast all the time, right? It doesn't bother me. It's part of the game, right? Sure. And but obviously, if someone else comes on and they're talking about it, or if I ever wanted a moment where I'm like, man, I want to talk about it. Like this, my daddy issues are kind of like I'm feeling this right now in this moment.
Yeah,
we would absolutely talk about that, and Brando would listen with open ears and have no problem talking about that. Right. Brando's dad is basically my dad now. So it's a weird dynamic how that goes. Shout out to Papa Iron Man.
Yeah. He kind of took you on.
Yeah, he absolutely did. He wants me to get married so bad. It's insane. I'm not a marriage guy, but he wants me to get married so bad. So
the pressure is real.
Pressure is real from him. So yeah, it's good.
It's cool to hear where your direction is. And being, I'm not even 50 episodes into this thing yet. I'm getting close to it. I think this might be 45 or 46. But yeah, there's for sure something about reading the room or like reading your guest's body language or, yes. Okay, I asked this question and they didn't really go down it. So like, I'll push a little bit. And so that comes with time, it just comes with, I think, time behind the microphone. And I think knowing you a little bit, like you'll realize how natural you are at it. Cause you genuinely care about people. And when you genuinely care about people, like it's just a natural skill that you'll have, I think.
I agree. And the thing is that with paintball and everybody in paintball, dude, I genuinely do care about everybody in paintball. This is a family aspect that no other sport I've ever even seen replicated.
Yeah.
Nowhere even close. Where if I had to move my entire life anywhere, if I had to move up to Idaho for no reason, I bet I could find some people that through paintball that would be like, hey man, like I can get you a temporary job here and help you get on your feet.
Yeah.
That's what I love about paintball. The familyhood where we all genuinely have each other's backs. I don't think that there truly is hate in the game, genuinely, and the game is just so great. I don't really know how else to put it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. There's something, and I would love one day for like some professional or somebody who can do a legit study on the sport to like find out what it is and why. Because so many people go through life where they'll step away from the game, they'll come back, and whenever you ask them, when I asked Gerald Garcia a long time ago when he was on, I was like, why? Why paintball? And one of the things he said was, I missed the community. I missed having a group of people that were always there for me. And it just goes to show how important a community is. And, if you read into any of the AI stuff, especially around like social media, that's been a hot topic lately of the more and more we go into this, the more and more people are going to create, or they're going to crave some type of community to be in.
Yes.
And I think that's why you are seeing a lot of, this very well, of Discord and like Patreon communities.
Yep.
That are popping up. I've got a Patreon and I've got a Discord, the Shellda Squad. And, I thought that these guys were paying to, like see the episodes early. And yeah, that's part of it. But I think I'm learning more that one of the highest priorities for them, or one of the number one reasons why they're in it, is because of the community.
Absolutely. Like my team. So, my paintball team, I love those guys to death. Like I'm at the point in my life where I don't even want to play paintball with anybody else unless it's like them. Right. And obviously we all have that like mindset of trying to go pro, right?
You hear that a lot.
Absolutely. And it is such a beautiful thing because one reason why I think that people love this game so much is that it's type 2 fun,
Yeah.
Right. It is trauma bonding to the point to where we're playing fake war with gelatinous balls, and something about playing fake war with gelatinous balls makes it to where it puts it in our consciousness of like, man, like we're in the trenches together, boys. Like I'm willing to die for you, you know? And it is just, that's just what my opinion is about the game of paintball. And like, maybe that's why it is so much fun. Cause when you experience that with somebody, it is, I wouldn't say it's a life-changing, but I mean, for people that I've played on a team with, when you play on a team with me, dude, you're family forever.
Yeah.
It's not just a jersey that you wear. Like we are, every time I will see you at a paintballing event, I'll give you a big hug because we shared the trenches together.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
So
I mean, and that clearly is important to you because like behind you is the Austin Oni, hype collab from years ago.
Yep.
And like the Oni guys obviously are super important to you.
100%.
And it's just like a small family that now you're a part of, right? So like now you're part of all these mini families, and wherever you go, you're just the new family of whatever that field is or region just opens up with open arms.
Absolutely. Oni changed my life. That is not just a team, that is a lifestyle. Yeah. Right. And those guys on that team, Anthony Hernandez, Two-Ton, Serge, all those guys on that team, I can see it in their eyes where it's like they believe in me.
Yeah.
Right. And they know that whenever, because I obviously earlier this year, Dan, we saw each other. I went over there to help steer the wheel of Oni, putting them in a direction to try to get them to win. And I have the same look and the same feeling in my heart that they have for me, where they believe in me.
Yeah. And it's cool that you say that because I've seen it from a different perspective. Obviously I've been around them every week, essentially for the past better 3 years. Mm-hmm. And to see that program go from like, hey, we're just having fun, we're here just to goof off and have a good time, to like, hey, we want to still do that and keep that part of our brand, but we also want to win too. And to see that shift in players of, hey, we want to get there early. We want to be the first people on the field. We want to be the first people in the box. We want to have a coach like you come out. It's been so cool just to see that whole entire program's maturity over the past 2 years. So I am so stoked to see what you can bring to that program, because the sky's the limit for them.
I completely agree. There is so much young talent on that team with a kid named Caleb, a kid named Wyatt, a kid named Squiddy, right? Those guys are all going to be fantastic players one day, and I know they are. Jordan, I know he's going to be a great player.
Oh,
right.
Jordan's insane. Yeah,
exactly right. And I think that if I can even cement myself 1% in that organization, I'm happy.
Yeah.
That is a family that it is nothing but a pleasure to be a part of.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm
completely lucky. A lot of people, they keep their circles short or keep their circles small.
Yeah.
They welcomed me with open arms. It was awesome. And I'm incredibly blessed to have those guys in my life.
Yeah, same. So huge shout out to the Oni boys. Let's jump back a little bit because I've got a few more questions on the podcast. Okay. Now that you're kind of in the weeds of it, I think a lot of people, and I know you've known this because you've obviously been recording for years, mm-hmm. with Ryan and Brando, but now being in the driver's seat, having to, find guests, find questions to come up with thumbnails and all that. What have you learned so far about yourself, taking over that whole entire, I guess, news business essentially?
Absolutely. So I think one thing I found out about myself is, like I realized how disciplined I am when it comes to when you want something so bad, right? Obviously I'm not going to be picture perfect at it. It's not going to be a high quality production standard, but I'm not going to give up on it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure as hell not going to quit. Right. That is one thing that the discipline sticks me from, is being a quitter. Yeah. And one thing about From the Sidelines, like taking it over, has taught me is, man, I look in the mirror and I'm like, you want this, you need this as bad as you want to breathe. Right. And sure, like I don't have a huge audience, but the fact is that one person could watch it and it could change their entire life.
Yeah. That's the gold. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. I don't need thousands and millions of views, like a lot of the, like what is being chased in current social media.
Yeah.
I love this game enough to where I will dedicate my life to this game in any sort, right? Yeah. I want to try to figure out my way on how to get into the industry to where I can work in paintball full time. That is like my ultimate goal.
I mean, doing a podcast is a great long-term step for that, you know, because depending on how you outlay your episodes, it could potentially be evergreen content where, you know, it's something that people will go back and watch those episodes. And if it's story-based and if it's about that individual and not necessarily event-based, that's stuff that just, it's there forever. And it's relevant forever too.
Absolutely. And the thing is that I never want to stray away from is, you know, the fact that, sure, we're a paintball podcast, but we're also the boys with the Z. You know, we like to hang out. We like to talk conspiracies. We like to talk about literally anything that could possibly come up to our minds. We were just talking about how they want to bring back the dodo bird, right, from extinction. And what does that have to do with anything? Nothing. But it's just an interesting topic that I saw an article. I brought it up, you know, and that is the beauty of being able to run your own podcast, was where you can kind of talk about anything you want.
Yeah. And that's the cool part about, you know, a lot of people will like look at, for whatever reason lately, and I've also looked at it similar, of like, you know, Play the Game and myself are kind of competitors, right? Like we're chasing the same numbers and audience, and I'm getting close to them in subscriber counts. And then there's also you guys, and there's, you know, myriad of other paintball podcasts out there. But the cool thing about it is every single podcast has their own style.
Yes.
And they have their own audience that loves that particular style.
Yep.
And so
I completely agree.
And so, like, you know, with you know, doing the boys with the Z, right? Doing that kind of stuff, you've got an audience for that. And that audience may not be my audience, or vice versa. And you'll have some overlap where people do enjoy both. So it's cool to see that you're sticking to like your roots and what you want to do, and then also adding your own flair into that, being in the driver's seat of it as well.
Yes. And one thing that I will never forget, Ryan taught me this, where it comes to you want everybody to succeed around you. Dan, I want you to succeed. I want Tyler and Marcelo to succeed. I want Christian from In the Piss to succeed. Because what are they going to see when they see a recommended video? They're going to see one of ours, right? Yeah. Eventually. And a rising tide raises all ships. Yeah. And that was one thing where sure, we shoot jokes at each other, you know, obviously, and we're competitors, but we're community, not competition, in a way, right? Yeah. I'm way too playful with that. Obviously, I should take it a little bit more competitive in a way, but I love that everybody is creating their own content, genuinely, because without it, like, if you were to look up NFL highlights, you would die before that time expired of every single montage. But if you were to look up paintball highlights, eventually there's going to be a stoppage, or paintball content. There's going to be a stoppage where you're going to run out of stuff to watch.
Yeah.
And I think that with shows like this, shows like PTG, shows like mine, it is going to set through an avenue that people can sit there, enjoy the content, and relate to it a ton, especially if you play paintball at a competitive level.
Totally. And I think we're like right at the cusp of it. You know, I'm sure you've heard this for years, and I have since I've been a kid, is what's paintball missing? And of course the list goes on, but like one of the things that always comes back to is people always say the story. They're like, hey, I want to know more about this player. I want to know what Ryan Greenspan does Monday through Friday. I want to know what his life is like. And just paintball, we don't have a whole lot of that. And so I think the more podcasts that come out and we can bring these guests on and they can get a different flavor. When Alex Frage is on your show versus my show, you're getting two different stories of Alex.
100%. And so I think that is what Hormesis Productions is doing so well, especially with the way that they did All That Matters. And I think with the way that they're going to do Iron Kids, I've only seen 12 minutes of Iron Kids, which is a lot more than the average person, for sure. Yeah. I think that it is going to be mind-blowing when it comes to, I don't think it's going to be that thing where it's all about paintball. It's the story of the Iron Kids. And the way that dynamic is, the way with all those guys reacting to each other, the stories, the war stories of it all.
Yeah.
That's what I think Iron Kids is going to be about.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're right. That's the one thing when it comes out that has potential to help bring in a different audience, because it really focuses on the story. And I think I saw that same 12 minutes of you that you did at some point, and it really plays into, I think maybe Oliver, it was something with his dad or something, and like he teared up, and then it cuts to Alex talking about this great relationship with his dad, and I didn't really have a good relationship with mine, so like I got emotional watching it, and I'm like, oh shoot, like if this is just a preview, it's like I can imagine what it's going to be like for when it finally hits. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Me too.
You mentioned a few things that I want to kind of poke at a little bit and go a little deeper. You had mentioned at some point, you're not doing this for views, and it doesn't matter. In preparation for this show, I went back and looked at, the From the Sidelines, like the past however many shows, and I was genuinely surprised of how little views that the podcast gets. Like, even though the channel has 16 or 17,000 subscribers, I was like, what is going on? Why are only a handful of people watching? Even like when when Alex is on, or like some of those are on, that's usually when things spike.
Absolutely. I have never really been a part of the YouTube channel itself, right? Because Ryan, before From the Sidelines, that was Ryan's personal YouTube channel that he put video docs up on and all of that stuff, right? I sometimes I'm shocked as well, but it's one of those things where whenever I would look at the views, and I'm looking at like 70 views on something where it's like has a good guest on, sometimes like I don't know if the insecure is the right word, but I'm like, man, like, are we just that bad at podcasting? Like, I never really understood. I was like, man, am I one of those guys that's just not really a likable guy? And it really kind of ate at me a little bit, where what do I need to change myself?
Yeah.
And I think that, also, I don't know the way the algorithm works. Like, is shadow banning a thing? Like, I've heard that word before. Like, I don't know, genuinely.
Yeah.
I do know my girlfriend has told me that sometimes to look up some of the episodes, like she would look up From the Sidelines, and she would have to scroll down forever to find it.
Yeah.
Or go directly to his profile, look up his direct profile and look it up. So I don't know, genuinely. We put a lot of hard work into it. So it was kind of weird seeing those not results, but it's also, that doesn't faze me.
Yeah. Are you planning on continuing on his channel, or now that you're taking over, are you going to start a brand new YouTube channel from zero, but continue the From the Sidelines brand?
So we are continuing the From the Sidelines brand. We're going to keep the episode number, but we are starting a whole new YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is the Stephen Hatch Project, and there's literally nothing on it yet. It is completely bare bones. There's a picture of me going like, oh my God, or something like that as the profile picture. But I'm learning how to do it all, because this is all so new to me. I've never started a YouTube channel. I wanted to stream when I was younger and be like Ninja, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. That was all I really knew. And that was relatively bare bones. So to answer your question about the views, I genuinely don't know. That is a question that when you sent it to me, I was like, that is a fantastic question, but I wish I had a fantastic answer for you.
Yeah, I wonder, now that you said like it was Mafia's channel before that, I wonder if he had a lot of his audience, maybe it exploded years ago when he was posting like docs and whatnot. And I wonder if it's a lot of just the audiences from those days. So yeah, the algorithm's a mystery. I don't think no one really knows, and people say they've cracked it and they know it.
It changes every day.
It honestly, it does. I've watched a lot of interviews with the Google and or YouTube CEO, and they all dance around the questions, and they say it literally changes every day, and we're always adding new things and changing new things. The one thing that I've learned, which a piece of advice for you, is create searchable content.
Okay.
That's one thing I've always, I wish other podcasts would do, you know, like instead of just doing episode 154, Tom Cole, like it's not searchable. You know, there's no reason why I'd want to click on that unless I want to hear from Tom.
Valid.
There's no like, what's the hook? And you hear a lot about that on creating like any YouTube video, whether it's a podcast or just a YouTube video. It's like the thumbnail's the first thing somebody sees. Will it hook me in a matter of literally a second or two among the other thumbnails that I see? Mm-hmm. Does the title match the thumbnail? And then that first initial click, when you click into a video or podcast, in that first 10 or 15 seconds, are you confirming my click?
Yes. Like Ryan taught me in the School of Mafia Productions. He taught me the average person will watch a video for like 6 seconds and be like, nah, or I'm in.
Yep.
You know, it's like, it's 6 seconds on how long the average person decides to. Yep. And I was like, man, that's shorter than a Vine. You know, I don't know if everybody knows what Vine is, but you know, that's pretty short. And I also think that's a huge part of what's going on now is everybody is into that short form, watch it for 5 seconds, scroll to the next one. Oh, this is a great video of a cat. Cute. Bye. Scroll to the next one. And it just seems like people's attention spans are going away from that long form content unless you're seeking it out.
Yeah, unless you are truly seeking it out. And like that's where podcasts are just, they're actually exploding right now on YouTube, and they're putting a lot of effort into podcasting because people that want to listen to a podcast, they want to sit down and like ingest a full hour. Like they're looking for that content.
Mm-hmm. Especially where it has someone that is a person of interest for them.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, sometimes like sometimes I listen to Joe Rogan. Like when I saw that the head of the FBI is on there, I'm like, oof, you know, there's going to be some spicy stories in there. Right? Yeah, like totally. That's just some stuff that because I seek that out. Like when I'm looking through some of his guests, I'm like, I don't know these people, whatever. Yeah. But it's just different when you kind of know a person and obviously I don't know the director of the FBI, but like I know of him, and that is a person that's some stories that I want to hear.
Yeah.
So I think that it's good for that.
Stories are gold. One other thing I wanted to ask about that, and you know, we'll jump on it because we've got some other really incredible questions too outside of the podcast. But one more I wanted to ask: you've got such an electric personality. You know, like you're a genuine person, and I've seen that on screen and off screen. Mafia or Ryan, you know, Mafia obviously has a big personality too. With him being the main host of it, it often felt like you were kind of in his shadow. Did you ever feel that? And like now that you're starting to do your own thing, like what has been your process going into the new part?
You know, when I saw you send that question, I thought it was very interesting because if I'm being honest, I never felt like I was in his shadow. Mm. I always felt like I was my own lighthouse and I was my own light lighting my own path. Mm. Right. Obviously I was on the podcast. And when it came to what a lot of people wanted to hear was paintball. And I was one of those guys that just knew a lot about it. I'm a competitor. I don't work at the industry, but I help ref. So I have a definite plethora of knowledge of my paintball prowess. And I understand both sides on, you know, being a player, being a referee, being a human being. Right. And when you put yourself in the position where you put yourself on a screen and people are looking at you through a screen, it creates, and for some people, that's all it is you're just looking at a person through a screen. There is no human behind that to some people's minds. Yeah. And I think that that's one big thing that people have to realize is everybody that is even putting up content in general is a human being.
Yeah, totally.
Right. And I think that that's one thing that I brought to the podcast, where Ryan was the kind of guy where he was able to, what's the word for a male version of a seamstress, but he was able to sew everything together in a way where I have not learned yet. I'm learning now. Right. And that was a big thing, a big takeaway of doing my first show where I didn't have Ryan. That was big. There are times where I probably left in a little bit of dead air. It's very intimidating to be the alpha talker at anything. So I definitely think that that's one thing that Ryan taught me decently well, and that I like to put my own spin on it, because I would never say I was in Ryan's shadow, honestly.
Good. That's good.
I never felt that way, at least. Maybe that's what other people thought. That is a fantastic question. But me personally, I always felt like I was my own lighthouse.
Yeah, I appreciate the answer, and I appreciate the honesty. That's, whenever like I'll have any other podcast on, at some point I'll have Marcelo on, and that's a question I'll ask him too. Anytime you have a duo, or in your case, a trio of people, oftentimes people can feel like they're in the shadow, or they don't feel like their voice is being heard, or they're contributing as much. So I appreciate the context there. And I think you're right. Ryan did a great job of pulling all the strings in the background,
100%.
As we're going through this, like I can see you, but then literally right next to you, I've got all of my questions here. And it's like, while you're answering the question, I'm also thinking, okay, what's the next question? Like, how do I want to take this question? And so your brain now has to process conversations and interactions like in a completely different tone.
100%. You have to be talking and surfing your mind of where you're going to take it next.
Yes.
And how you can connect the dots. And that's one thing that Ryan was incredibly good at, right? His segues were uncanny good. And that's one thing that I have to learn. It is very difficult, but I'm learning slowly but surely.
Yeah. And the cool part is, as you learn that, you'll see like your real life, we'll call it, like your non-paintball life, like that skill will translate over into that. I've noticed, my real job outside of this, things that I do here, it makes interactions with my coworkers a lot easier, because I'm able to bridge that gap and not have dead air, or to jump from conversation to conversation a little bit more naturally, because of this.
Definitely. And there are times where we would have a person on the podcast where, besides over when I'm sending them a message to come on, I've never talked to them before. Right. So when you're able to take that, I've never talked to somebody before, and the awkwardness of doing it through a screen, when you're making conversation with someone that you've never met before, whether it be a Chipotle employee, whether it be a random Joe Schmo in Walmart, you know how to strike up a conversation.
Yeah. And
that's one thing that I genuinely pride myself in, because I love talking.
Yeah.
I would always get in trouble for it at school, but no one ever said that you can try to make a job out of talking. And I think that right. And that's one thing that I think that podcasts is a beauty at, and people are realizing that podcasting is a real thing. It has potential to be. Look at Joe Rogan. That's a crazy comparison, but like, there is no school of podcasting. You can go to school to be a producer, but there's not a class on how to make a podcast, And I think it's very, very interesting, because when you're young, teachers tell you to stop talking. They tell you to sit in line. But I've always been the kind of person where I've loved talking. I've loved striking up conversations, and stories need to be told.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I guess that's just why school was never really a big thing for me, honestly.
Well, look at you now, like if you were to be able to go back and tell that teacher, like, hey, all those times you told me to be quiet, now I have a podcast. Like, it's an interesting conversation.
Absolutely. There are a lot of times where I've actually emailed my old teachers, like one of my old teachers. He has a funny last name. His name is Mr. Dyke, but he, without a doubt, changed my perspective on a lot of things, where he told me, you need to get a job when you're older that you're not just sitting still. And that was one of those things where it clicked in my head, where I'm like, I can't just sit still.
Yeah.
Right. I need to talk. I need, especially if you put a microphone in front of me where we can solidify conversation, solidify stories
too,
with no distractions. Right. Like obviously I'm in math class, and I'm trying to talk to my boy with a Z at the end. And now the teacher's telling me to quit yapping. Like, no way, So the beauty of podcasts truly is amazing.
Yeah, I agree. And it's cool to see more of them pop up. And I'm glad to hear that the From the Sidelines is not dying. That's, I think when I saw the news, I was like, oh man, one, I'm glad Ryan is able to do something for him professionally and continue going after. That's incredible. He totally earns and deserves that. I think the selfish part of me, and I think a lot of listeners are like, well, what does that mean for this now?
Mhm.
What does that mean for the podcast? So it's cool to hear that it's not dying, and that it's going to continue to move on.
It'll be a little malnourished for a little bit, but
Sure.
you know what? We're not going anywhere. It's like when your horse dies in Red Dead, now you got to get the scrawny one. That's kind of what the transition period has been like so far. My cuts are not as clean. My transitions are not as clean. This first episode, my God, is it going to be rough? It's recorded. I have it set, and it's funny because I kind of want to bring this up with you. So my mistake on what I did with Patreon, because I wanted to kind of stick to the old schedule where it's like people who subscribe to Patreon get a early access to the podcast. I accidentally put 18 and up on it. So now, now Patreon thinks that I'm a porn star.
You're done.
And I'm like, dude, I'm a guy that I don't even have a video up yet, bro. How can I be a porn star? And they're like, oh, well, we'll review your account. I'm like, what is there to review?
Wow.
So now that is why the Patreon is leaked. So this is how everybody's hearing it here first, so that's so embarrassing.
I had an idea of the thumbnail of like, is this podcast dead? But I think I'm changing it to something probably 18 and over related now.
Here we go. That's the beauty of it. When you make your things for all audiences, anybody can listen. Right. Yeah. And I've obviously never really censored myself too much. Obviously I just said that, I'm on Patreon. People think I'm a porn star, people
just don't know.
Right. People just don't know. Know. And it's very, very interesting that I accidentally did that. So first roadblock. I mean, you saw my first, I did a little editing stream on Instagram,
which is great.
Yeah. I'm trying, right. And I love getting tips from people in the chat that know what they're talking about. Thank God I had Smiley Joe in my ear a little bit. He's like, all right, use these hotkeys. And I'm like, I'm learning, it felt good figuring out how to cut, clip, clean up, felt good.
Yeah. I mean, you hear that from so many people that are, much older and wiser than us. They say life is all about learning something new. And that's what keeps you fresh and keeps your mind going, is just learning new things.
Absolutely.
Let's transition and talk a little bit more about you as a person.
Okay.
I think this is one of the things that has always fascinated me is, when people are these like superstars and they're playing on the pro field or the semi-pro field, but they also are YouTube personality. I think so many people think they do this full time, and it's not. I obviously do this part time. I've got a real job. You are doing this part time. So, what is your quote unquote Monday through Friday?
So my quote unquote Monday through Friday is I'm a financial advisor for a caregiving company, and wow. I mean. I'm an all-around guy, right? Whether it be the books, whether it be scheduling, whether it be billing, like I kind of do it all. It's kind of coming to a point to where the caregiving industry is definitely in need, right? People are getting older and nobody wants to take care of them, right? And that's just one struggle that I've definitely seen. And it's not my favorite job. But one, it gets my bills paid, and it is nice because I get to work with a lot of veterans, and hearing those stories.
Yeah.
Right. Because I mean, sometimes when you're an all around kind of guy, sometimes you got to go do field visits. The financial accountant should not be doing field visits to clients. Right. But obviously we're short staffed. I do it anyway.
Yeah.
The people that I have met, the stories that I've been told, the things that I've seen in people's houses is amazing. And that's one of those things where, kind of like you said, where I get to bring my knowledge of conversation over into the real world, where I can come up with a question kind of like that and be like, okay, how did this make you feel? Like, oh, what is that? If that's your favorite item in your house, tell me the story about that.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, when it comes to old people like that, no, people stop asking them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one thing that I do love about my job is the stories.
Man, that's so cool. Like that's kind of been the theme throughout this so far is, you were like a talker in school, and like now you being a co-host or, being on the old podcast and now kind of being in the driver's seat, like the theme of story keeps coming up for you. And it sounds like that's really important for you too.
100%. Because people need to, we have 2 ears, one mouth for a reason, right? One thing I've learned about this is people will ask you how your day is just for you to ask how their day was, because they want to talk about them.
Yeah. It's very
I like it to where I put the platform out to where, hey, talk about yourself, to where they're like, oh, like now I have complete confidence to talk about myself because I'm not bringing it up myself. They're asking about me.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that the podcast world is so great about, is asking questions, getting to know people. And that's just where I was born to do that.
Yeah. And that completely caught me off guard because, like, you know, before we started recording, I've got a cadence that I go through, like, well, my guests, of like, I tell them, you know, hey, this is my direction I'm going. This is when the podcast is going to come out. Here's what I'm thinking and all that. And I always end it with like, hey, do you have any questions before we start recording? And you're like, yeah, man, like, how are you? And I was like, whoa, like, it's such a simple question. Like, I don't think anyone's asked me that in a long time. Like, and so it just, I really appreciated that, because then you and I had a beautiful dialogue back and forth, and I got to learn more about you in that moment. So just that simple, you know, hey, how are you, or how are you doing? It's really powerful.
Absolutely. And especially because, just like we said, people don't ask it often enough.
Yeah.
And that is one thing, because, dude, I have met plenty of people, and there have been times where people have contacted me through the podcast, and they obviously know that I'm way more of a person to talk to. Out of everybody on FTS, I'm the guy that talks about literally anything. People would message me and be like, hey, dude, like, what is your phone number? I need someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And there have been times where, like, I call them and I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? Are you okay? I have heard people where they're like, dude, like, I want to end everything right now. And they're like, I feel like nobody loves me. I am in a rut. My family is in shambles, and I just want to end it. And for someone to come to me with that vulnerability, I didn't know how to react at first, but it's my instinct comes in where it's like, dude, like, you're loved. Like, dude, like, you have no idea the perspective of everybody else right now. Because if you're just gone in an instant, it would affect people that you have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when people come to me with vulnerability, I have no problem talking. And it's a scary thing, especially when people feel that, where they don't have love coming their way.
Yeah.
You know, and I couldn't even imagine that. I have such a fantastic support system with my team. My mom supports me, right? Like, Dan, I mean, dude, we support each other over here, right?
For sure, yeah.
And it's just one of those things where people need to love more.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary how much hate there is in this world. It is scary how people will not talk to you over, you're friends with this person, or you're friends with that person, or you have this opinion, and they just won't. There's no room for discourse. It is insane. We need to love more people, way less hate.
Yeah, that's something going into this. Vulnerability for me was never anything that was in my forefront. I was always a very quiet person who never shared any, deep personal things. And then, I give all of the kudos and all of the praise in the world to my wife, because she unlocked all of that in me. And I learned how powerful vulnerability is. And now it's almost like the most powerful thing, where when somebody is vulnerable with you, like, there's nothing else. Like, that is gold. That is them literally taking their heart and putting it on their hand for you to grab.
Absolutely.
And so it's cool to hear that you also see that, and you're able to be there for people that are opening up, because sometimes people shy it, or they shoo it away when that happens.
100%. Because for some reason there is a stigma that is not manly to show your emotions, right? I'm the kind of guy where even when I play, when I walk around, I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Yeah.
And not enough people do that. Too many people they have to be this shell of hardness where it's like, oh, like, I can't let anybody know that about me.
Yeah.
Right. Which, I mean, you have every right to do that. But sometimes when you bottle it up so much, eventually you can possibly have one of those breakdowns where mentally you don't know where to go. You don't know what to do. You don't know who to turn to. Because when you've never opened up like that to anybody, who do you go to?
Yeah.
You don't have any experience in that avenue. That's why I think it's incredibly important to have a support system that you can call, that you can just be around in like an instant.
Yeah, totally. And like, I want to go deeper there, because you said something in the pre-show meeting to me about you used to be like a really, really angry person. So is that something new for you? Like the love and the vulnerability, and like, at what point did that anger change for you?
Honestly, I don't know exactly where it came from, but man, like it tears away at me. And I never really truly got to, I mean, I still haven't mastered it. That beast of anger will still rear its head up at practice, sometimes at a tournament. But if I'm being completely honest, dude, when my dog passed in 2024, dude, like, I'm an only child. I don't have a dad. I grew up with a single mother who worked all the time. So my companion, but my best friend was my dog. And when I lost her, obviously you can tell it's a very big deal to me, right? I got a Cali blanket, I got a painting right here, got another canvas right here. Yeah. It tore me apart so much, where I realized how valuable life is, and that there is no room for anger. It is, you need to let your anger be expensive and let your love be free, to where people have to pay into making you angry. It is a huge investment of them trying to get you angry. But when I'm giving them love for free, it makes them rethink of how much to invest into your hatred.
Wow. I've never heard of it that way. Wow.
There is, when you make your anger expensive, don't make it easy for them to make you angry. And there are a lot of people in this world and in the paintball scene that make it way too easy to make them angry. Hard. And I'm at the point in my life where, I mean, I'm not a perfect person. I will never be a perfect person. I understand that there are things in this life that will never be fair.
Yeah.
But you have complete control of your reaction to it.
Yeah.
And when I lost Cali, that opened up a whole new mind. Like, my mind, even today, is still in a haze when I think about it sometimes, because, man, that was a rough day. I'm out, like, coming home from practice. I knew she wasn't feeling good that day, because she just had surgery on her. She had a lump on her side, and we just had a biopsy, right? And then she's recovering from that. Got it back, got the biopsy. The doctor told me I basically have 30 days left with her.
Holy smokes!
But luckily, she loved me enough to stretch it out for 3 months, and she started not walking very well. And when I came home from practice, oh man, she could not walk at all. And just seeing this thing that I've raised from literally the size of a dumpling into, my best friend that was there for me through breakups, through team changes, through every single thing. Like, and I know this probably sounds kind of weird, because we're like, oh, like, it's just a dog. It's not just a dog to me.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, dogs, I have a dog too. And gosh, like, same thing. She means the world to me. I don't have kids of my own. I have 2 step kids that I consider they're my kids. But man, dogs are family, and I think, speaking back of BFP Gear and Junior and Gina, literally today, I think they posted that they lost their dog of like 10 or 14 years.
Jeez.
And so people can relate with that. Dogs are just dogs, cats, whatever the animal is. They're just so important, because they're there with you at your highest and your lowest, and they're always meet you with love no matter what.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that, when I say I got that dog in me, I have that where it is short-term memory. Sure, you can be mean to me for a second, but dude, I'm still going to love you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It does not matter. And when it comes to being that angry of a person, when I lost her, I didn't have like I was angry at the fact that I lost her.
Sure.
And I was kind of carrying that around. But after a little bit, I started to see it's like, my girlfriend told me this quote, and she's like, you can't be selfish to cut off your love like that. And man, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I want to end it, everything.
Wow.
To think that even for a second, she thought I was cutting off my love to the world.
Wow.
And that was just an incredibly hard time for me. And during that time, not only did I lose Cali, my grandparents, they're both very old. They're both in their 90s, and they both suffer from dementia. And, you know, dealing with losing my best friend to, because my grandparents, when my mom was at work, my mom would work all day, so I could live basically. Yeah. So my grandparents would take care of me. Like they raised me in a way. Yeah. So seeing them fade away, like to where they are, my grandma is way worse than my grandpa, because she will ask a question. Oh, like, how is your social life? 2 seconds later, memory reset. Oh, like, it's so good to see you. How is your social life?
That's hard. Yeah.
And it's like, when it happens 50 times in an hour, where it's like her first time seeing it's rewarding, because it's like, it's her first time seeing me for the day, but it's not her first time seeing me.
Yeah.
It is an incredibly scary thing where, I mean, there was a point to where I had to take a step back from my job and take care of them full time.
Holy smokes.
For about 6 months. I had to take care of them for 6 months straight.
Wow.
Cooking all of their meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, making sure, like, there was a huge thing where my grandma had a kidney stone, and the kidney stone caused an infection, and the infection basically turned her dementia upside down, where like it was, I actually saw like anger come from, you know, from a person that I've seen only love my entire life. Yeah. And that really changed me, where I'm like, man, like I can't do that. I cannot let that happen to myself, no matter what. Like, I have to take care of myself. And I'm blessed the fact that they're still with me, and I've kind of got them in a stable-ish situation to where I'm not over there all the time. But that is a pain that I would never wish on my worst enemy. Seeing someone fade away like that is a pain that I could never put into actual words. Genuinely.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. I think a lot of people will go through that at some point in their life, you know, whether it's a loved one or a parent or even a grandparent for that matter. And there's just not a lot you can do for some people in those situations. And, you know, to tie it back to what you said about like the anger changing and switching to love, I so relate to that. Because my mom passed away, and I talk about it in the book, right literally weeks before my first World Cup, where like my life was coming to a pinnacle, you know, like the book was launching, Dynasty, World Cup, and all that. And for some reason, like after she passed, like a lot of that anger and judgment and all of just the BS was just like gone. And so it's so weird how like it takes losing somebody or going through something like you went through, of it changes you. And I've heard people say that before, like, oh, it's a life-changing thing for some people, and some people go down different paths of it. But I totally experienced that same thing that you went through, where like you're one person and you're angry about a lot of things and resentment and judgment, but then you release a lot of it for whatever weird reason.
Absolutely. And, you know, someone who really helped me through a little bit of it, and they didn't say much to me, but it was enough to, you know, open a doorway of light. I was talking with Alex Frazier, and he's like, dude, how have you been? And I'm like, you know, I've been better. He's like, what's going on, dude? And I kind of told him what I've been dealing with. And he gave me a big old hug, not one of those like side hugs that you get in like high school from a chick who hates you, like a straight up, like an embracing hug. And I was like, man, I feel heard.
Yeah.
And so that wore off on me so much to where I want to be just like Alex Frazier in that way.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that I know he has his own struggles. He has his own demons that he fights. But the fact is, dude, being someone else's lighthouse, right, is indescribable for the other person. He doesn't know it, but he helped me out so much in a way that I can't even put into words. I guess I felt okay for the moment. And just feeling okay was great. Because I mean, I assume my teammates, because obviously like I'm a competitor, right?
Yeah.
Like paintball is one of my main priorities in my life, where I do whatever I can for my team, right? And I didn't miss a single event this year. So it was very, very hard on me to, make sure that because I want to compete. I want to be there for my boys. Like my boys are my family, like in every aspect. That was incredibly hard to step away from the family at that moment to go compete. And Alex was telling me some stories about how, he had to deal with certain things and still compete. And I was like, man, I got this. He gave me hope. And that's all I could have asked for in that moment was hope.
And you mentioned he doesn't know this about you, that like,
I don't think so.
I'm going to challenge you, like in the next week or two, I genuinely mean this. If you have his number or just DM him, like, please reach out to him and just let him know like how much he meant to you in that moment. Like that'll mean a lot to him.
I definitely will, because when when I had him on the podcast, that was special for me. And I told him on our podcast that, if I'm being honest, I used to be a hater, right? Obviously talking about that hate in my heart. I used to be a hater, and I was like, oh, Alex Frazier, he needs to retire, right? But then my whole perception of him was changed when, I think it was like, I don't know what year it was, but I saw him play, and he was, he had that moniker, play like a kid.
Yeah.
That is what I want to live my life by in anything I do. Like, because when you're a kid, you're curious. You want to figure out how everything works.
Yeah. So
when you play like a kid with your curiosity, you want to figure out how everything works. That is a great way to look at life.
Totally.
With any challenge, with any mountain that is in front of you.
So, yeah, it's a great motto for life if you can continue to channel that and to tap into that, play like a kid, because that's where curiosity is. That's where love is, and it's unconditional love for everything too. So I love that. Speaking of love, let's transition to. I got one more question for you.
Okay.
Before we get to the hard question, this is probably not a hard question. You mentioned your girlfriend a few times throughout the show. And when in prep for this show, you just like would sing her praise of how important she is to you and that she pretty much saved you. Talk to me about her and like why and how she's so important to you.
Oh man, this is weird for me, because now this is where I get emotional. Because when I think of her, I'm like, man, that is someone that's worth changing for. Right. I was a guy. I say what you will. If she hears this, like, she's
better be listening.
She's heard a lot of things about me, right? She knows that I was not the greatest character in a way. I was a bad guy, and I was a play up, if you will. And I never really was in a commit mood until I met her. And man, she basically taught me where it's like, it's okay to be vulnerable, and I've been with plenty of women that say, oh, like I've been with a girl that when I was trying to talk emotionally, she was like, oh, your emotions are showing. That's a little weird. You're giving me the ick. And I'm like, time to never talk to that person again.
Wow.
Right. And so when you get that time where you're just laying there and they ask you a question like, hey, I want to check in. Are you okay? that is something that I've never had before. She is an incredible human being. She's trying to be a doctor, right? So her whole thing is helping people. And that's where we've been together for almost 3 years now. So I definitely have taken some of that from her, where like she has so much love to give, where why can't I do that?
Yeah.
Right. If she can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I am a complete extrovert compared to her. She is way more reserved, way more shy when it comes to striking out conversations. So it was almost like yin and yang, where, you know, I'm the dark humor, she's the light humor.
Sure.
And it's a very interesting dynamic that we have, and I love her very much. That I think I sent you a picture in our Instagram chat of me and her. You know, even when I come back a loser from an event, she makes me feel like I win. And I've never felt that before.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm incredibly lucky. I'm incredibly blessed. She lights my beam. You know, she is my lighthouse. And like when it came to everything that happened with Cali, she was there for me every single step.
Wow,
every single step. And I owe her everything. Like when it comes to my discipline on how serious I've been about taking paintball, I owe it to her, because she's like, hey, well, have you worked out? Hey, like you need to start eating healthier. Hey, you need to start taking care of yourself. Like you can't, like, you want to win, right? And when you have someone at your side pushing you like that, it's indescribable the high you get from that.
Oh yeah, the accountability is wild.
Yes, and it's great because I can do the same thing with her. Yeah. I can push her, right? Sometimes when her social battery is at 10% and mine's at 100%, I can give her a little bit of my battery where, you know, she can get through whatever she's doing a little bit more. Where if she was by herself, maybe not so. Mm-hmm. Right? It's a good dynamic to have, and I'm incredibly blessed for her saving my ass. Genuinely.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we listen to you and your wife's podcast because she knows that whenever I ask her about paintball, she's like, oh man, well, it is a time commitment. But never once has she complained. Never once has she ever been like, oh, you're spending too much time at paintball. Because she believes in me. I can see it in her eyes. Like so that cool. She believes in me, you know, and when she sees me work hard at something, it makes her work harder, because she's like, well, it's not a competition, but it's like, you don't want to be, in a way, it's a race, it's a marathon, but you don't want to get too far away from that person. Sometimes you need to slow down, grab their hand, and pull them back up towards where you are. And they do vice versa. It is the dynamic of someone doing that for you can get you to win any situation, that make you look positively at any situation. You could be looking at a volcano erupting right in front of you, but when you have your person, it's okay.
We'll figure it out. Yeah,
exactly. We'll figure it out. So that's what I have to say about her. She saved me.
Beautiful. Well, I certainly hope that if she is not listening to this when it's live, that somebody sends her a clip of this, because she needs to hear it. I think for a lot of us in the paintball industry, for those that have partners and for those that have supportive partners, they're so important to our success and like letting us do what we do with this crazy paintball thing, this crazy paintball journey. So huge shout out to her. It sounds like you've got an absolute winner there, and we'll wrap up here in a few minutes so you can go give her a big hug and thank her. And
absolutely, you know, and because the one thing is that I have to say, I have had people around me where I've heard their conversation with their wife or girlfriend. They're like, "Oh man, you lost the event. You done now?" And I'm like, you know, like how coming up, because my mom is the way where she's like, "Hey, are you coming home a loser? All right, well, you better work harder for next time." Like some of the text messages I get from my mom after an event, tough love.
Yeah.
Right. So it's nice when I get my girlfriend and she's like, "Hey, it's okay. Yeah. Time for you to get 1% better. Like but if you get 1% better every day, by the time you're at the next tournament, you're going to be so good.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that I'm lucky. Not every girl is like that.
Totally.
So
well, congratulations to you for finding a winner. Sounds like you got to lock that one down soon.
Thank you. You never know. You never know. That thought is terrifying to me, to be honest. But
there's that commitment.
but it's also, I'm not opposed to change.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the kind of rounding it back to what you said about your question, where it's like, what do I know about myself?
Yeah.
I embrace change. And that's one of those things that's hard. ARG Image, Aaron messaged me and is like, I love that guy to death.
Same.
Genuinely. He is a human being that I want that guy around me at all times.
Yeah, same. He's a massive human being, and because of he's a massive human being, he has a massive heart.
Yes. He texted me. He's like nothing comes from comfortability.
Yeah, sure.
Right? All the best, like if you're comfortable, dude, get uncomfortable. And that was one thing where I'm like, he's absolutely right. And it gave me a lot of hope, especially for running the podcast. Because, man, running a podcast, it is a mountain, at least for me right now, because I'm not that good at it. But it's not impossible to climb, especially when you have a support system.
Yeah, totally. And you'll notice, like, as you get through the episodes, things will get easier. You'll find flows and different processes for things. But it's just like anything, it's like working out for the first time. Like, man, it just sounds so daunting. Or like not eating ice cream every night. Like, it's like, I can't do that. But then when you get through doing it, like, okay, it's not so bad if I do it this one time. So yeah, it's cool to see you putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, because you're going to do so many great things from it. And you're going to learn a lot about yourself personally being on that driver's seat too.
Definitely. And I mean, I'm learning so much now, so I can't even imagine what a month or 2 months or 3 months looks like from now. And that's a short amount of time.
Yeah, it really is
a short amount of time. So I'm very excited for the future. Yeah. I'm scared, but that's how it's supposed to feel.
Exactly.
No one jumps into the unknown with certainty.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I'm excited to jump into the unknown.
Yeah, totally. Well, speaking of jumping into the unknown, I've got a tradition here. I think you're very well aware of it.
Yep.
You were prepared with yours.
Yep.
Right. So for people that haven't listened in yet, I ask a question at the end of each episode. I allow the guest to ask a question for next week's guest without knowing who it is. So it's a really cool way to tie everybody in. And I had the recent NXL Lone Star Open winner on, Rainey Stanzak, and great episode. And he asked you a really good question.
Okay. So
yours is, would you play a 5v5? First place is $5 million. So that means each player gets $1 million. It's only 1 point.
1 point.
The trick is you can't wear any goggles. So you're literally playing like your eyes are on your lifeline.
Would I do it?
Yeah.
100%. $5 million and I guess 1 million for me.
Yeah. For you. Yeah.
I mean, it also depends who am I playing against. That's a big, if it's like the rec ball walk-ons, oh dude, I'm putting my hand up peeking through my fingers, doing my best. Right. I actually have nightmares about that, where I'm killing it in the snake. I'm crawling down, getting 4. And I'm like, oh God, I don't have my mask on. That's happened before. So 100% I would do that.
Yeah. I love it. A good confident answer. I like it.
Absolutely. So does that mean it's my turn?
Yeah. Pressure's off. You can rip it with yours.
No, here we go. So your next guest, I want to ask them, what is their biggest sacrifice that they've made for paintball?
Wow. That's a very beautiful yet very hard question.
Right. When I was a kid, I would sacrifice my lunch money to get a case of paint at the end of the week, right? So I could play rec ball when I was a kid. I sacrifice a ton of time driving every single weekend for practice. I drive there and back is 6 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Just for practice.
That's unheard of for people nowadays.
You're absolutely right. Some people are like, well, I'll just quit.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that. Can't quit. Can't give up. So
good mentality. Well, Hatch, this has been awesome, man. It's been one I've when I heard all the news, I was like, I had to get you on. Just dive into your personality, because you've been a beam of light and a beam of love for a lot of people. And I'm genuinely happy to hear you're going to continue the podcast and to take it over. I think it's in really good hands. Mafia obviously laid a really good foundation, and so now you're able to build it to the next version of whatever it's going to be.
Absolutely. I mean, who knows? We could even add another host on. Just because I mean, what you do right here, I couldn't even do that, just because the way you are able to, just like with Ryan, like with the seamstress, you are able to pick up right when that someone is done talking. That is a skill that I have yet to learn, but man, like I've learned a lot just even by being a guest on this show right now.
I appreciate that. That means a lot. It's something I continue to work on. I think it was, maybe it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I actually got that feedback from somebody after the episode was over. They're like, hey, I think, because I always ask everybody for feedback after, and the person said, I think you need to do a better job with your transitions. Like there was a little bit of dead air time when they got done asking a question or answering a question before I jumped into mine. So I appreciate you seeing that difference there, because that one, I definitely worked on that a lot. So
absolutely. One thing I thought was very interesting that we were talking about earlier was sometimes you don't like when there's a little bit of dead air when it comes to them thinking, right? When you ask a question, sometimes I like that and I'll even do it myself, because if I have to pause that long for an answer, it's going to be probably good.
Yeah.
If you really make me think about it, it'll probably be relatively good.
Yeah. That's a great way to look at it.
I'm an optimist. My grandfather was president of the Optimist Club when in like 1965 or whatever. So, and then I got his plaque for the Optimist president. So that's just one of those things where I have to look at everything in a positive light. I signed my life away to a plaque saying I had to be optimistic.
You have to. It's who you
Absolutely.
are.
The world has too much hate to not.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree.
So we got to light the beam for everybody who can't.
One podcast at a time.
Yep. One podcast at a time.
Awesome. Well, thanks for jumping on. And for everyone else, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Shellda Podcast. And we'll catch you next week. See ya.